Hello and happy Monday to you all. What we are starting today is kind of a new idea, and I want to keep it going through like a Monday through Friday kind of schedule, looking at certain Giants players, looking at certain Giants teams, having some videos and having some fun and having some conversations around those guys. So today, we are starting with Dayne. Dayne, we are taking a look at someone the Giants fans would rather forget, I am sure. The 11th pick in the 2000 NFL Draft, Heisman winner from Wisconsin. He was supposed to be the Thunder to Tiki Barber's Lightning, but in 4 years, he just scored 16 total TDs. Not good, no bueno. Now, a quick flashback to his Wisconsin days. Dayne is the all-time leader in rushing attempts in NCAA history with 1,220 over a span of 4 seasons. That's an average of 305 carries per season. And compare this to now, only 4 college running backs got more carries than 305 in 2019. One of them, ironically, being Jonathan Taylor, who was also a Wisconsin running back. But Dayne, as a pro, had a terrible, like 3.5 yards per attempt in his 4 years with the Giants. He only had 2 100-yard games as a Giant, one in his rookie year against Dallas, and the other came in the next year versus the Saints, week 2, where he had 1,100 yards. That was his best career day, 111 yards. His longest carry was 61 yards, came in week 17 against the Packers of the 2001 season. Same game where, ironically enough, Michael Strahan broke the single-season sack record. And if you look back at Dayne's 2003 season, you'll notice that he didn't even play in a single game. It's missing from his Pro Football Reference page. And the reason why he was missing is because he was the 5th-string Giants running back, and he was kind of like in a standoff within the organization. And he didn't want to be traded, but the Giants didn't want to cut him. The Giants didn't want to trade him. So he was just on street clothes every single game in 2003. And you know what? That's going to do it for Dayne. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for tomorrow where we do Team Tuesdays, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this series. Peace. So hello, happy Tuesday, and what that means from now on is that it is Team Tuesdays. What basically that means we are going to be looking at certain teams or a specific team for the New York Football Giants in history. So let's go and let's do it. So the Giants, led by Sam Huff, Frank Gifford, Charlie Connerly, Emlyn Tennell, who was the first African-American player for the Giants and the first African-American inducted into the Hall of Fame, and of course leading the coaching staff, Jim Lee Howell, Vince Lombardi, and Tom Landry. They won the 1956 NFL Championship versus the Bears, but the stretch after that was an absolute punch in the gut. And think of just how crazy and how miserable we would all be in Giants Twitter if we had the stretch of finishes. So, in 1958, with the same core of players and coaches, they lost in the NFL Championship to the Baltimore Colts in what is called the greatest game ever played. In 1959, the next year, they lost to the Colts again in the NFL Championship, 31-16. 2 years later, in 1961, they lost the championship to the Green Bay Packers, 37-0, losing to their former offensive coordinator, Vince Lombardi. In 1962, we lost the NFL Championship again to the Packers and Lombardi. You think Jets fans feel bad about losing out to Belichick? Well, the Giants had that kind of a couple decades before. The next year in 1963, the Giants lost the NFL Championship again to the Bears of Chicago. They get their revenge from 1956 by a score of 14-10. In 1964, then started a terrible period of football play where Y.A. Tittle spent his final year in New York. The Giants went 2-10-2 in 1964, and the Giants from there on out didn't even sniff another championship until 1986, where they beat John Elway's Denver Broncos. So, that's going to do it for Team Tuesday. We will see you tomorrow where we are looking at another Giants player. Peace. So welcome back to day 3 of this series where we are looking back at Giants players, and today we are looking back at that tough son of a gun.
I'd hate to have to fight that son of a gun.
Mark Bavaro. Week 4 of the 1986 season saw the New York Football Giants as a 2-1 team coming off of 2 consecutive victories, heading into a matchup with the New Orleans Saints in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Now, Phil Simms started that game with 2 ugly first quarter interceptions, and really the only time the Giants really moved the ball in that first quarter was on 2 Bavaro receptions. and you blink, the Giants are down 17-0 in the second quarter. Bavaro is actually out of the game with a broken jaw, and Leonard Marshall is going to describe some extra details around the injury.
Not only did he have the broken jaw, he lost teeth in that, and he's sitting there on the sideline, and they're doctoring on him on the sideline, and you think, okay, this guy's out for the rest of the game for certain, and probably, a few games thereafter. And then we see him putting his helmet on and say, what the heck is he doing? He gets back out there on the field. That said a lot to us about his character, his toughness.
So Bavaro comes back in the second quarter, and he absolutely takes over the game. Check out the crowd noise after Bavaro returns, and he makes his first reception.
First down. Watlett brings Bavaro down.
That drive, he willed the Giants down the field to bring them back within one score. So with the broken jaw, he went on to have his best statistical game of that season in the midst of his only 1,000-yard receiving season on 66 catches, which was also a career high. And the Giants' defense held pat in that Week 4 matchup, allowing 0 second-half points, and the Giants went on to win that ball game, with Bavaro having 7 catches on 111 yards with 1 touchdown. So there you have it. That's Mark Bavaro, and to be completely honest, it is probably the most Mark Bavaro thing of him to have one of his best career games with a broken jaw. I'll see you tomorrow with another player.